And I'm Justy, and
And
together
together
we're
we're
losing
losing it.
it.
We're just two restaurant girls that became best friends and each lost over 100 pounds. I lost mine with the help of weight loss surgery, portion control, and exercise.
And I lost mine through portion control and activity and many years of breaking bad habits.
We're just sharing our journeys and what we learned through the process.
And if you have medical questions, reach out to your doctor.
Okay, welcome back. And we are in part three of our three-part series on overeating. And today we are talking about emotional eating, which is a bit of a heavy topic. And I'm going to let Justy go ahead and explain what emotional eating means to us and just kind of some things that we've learned it means.
Yeah, so first of all, emotional eating is something that like everybody does. You don't have to be overweight to emotionally eat.
Mhm.
We eat, to celebrate, we eat to mourn, we eat to do a lot of different things. And so it's sort of a just a natural thing. Food is something that brings a lot of people joy and comfort. And it doesn't mean that you have a weight problem because you do it. So it's when you do it to extreme. That's when the weight problem comes in usually. So emotional eating is really just eating from feelings. And like I said, it could be happy feelings, sad feelings. It's something that's really kind of dramatic and urgent, like emotional. We talked about mindless eating before, and that's really no emotion. And we talked about binge eating as well, which is sort of like stress relief or comfort. And this is different because this is eating from like an emotion. Um, Steph and I were talking earlier, and her and I both aren't super dramatic people. We're just pretty realists.
Mm.
But we even have a few different ways that we've emotionally ate over the years. And so we're going to talk about those next.
Yeah, so I'll share first because like Jesse said, we're not super like dramatic or emotion. I mean, not that I'm not emotional, but I don't get in a fight with my husband and go like find a carton of ice cream. I don't have a bad day at work and go find something to eat. I've just never really been like that,
Mhm.
but I do understand why people can be like that. And I
Mhm.
know that that is a huge thing for people, emotional eating, and we've heard it time and time again from tons of people that, you know, this, I don't know, Jill at the office has been a raging bitch lately and I can't take it anymore. And I've been hitting up the vending machine every day. And it's kind of like, I'm not like that, and Justy's not like
Mhm.
that. But I get why you could be like that. And
Mhm.
for me, like if I'm when I'm angry, I tend to clean. And I know that sounds crazy, but I was
I do
telling
too.
Justy that
Uh-huh.
too. Like,
Mhm.
if my husband and I got into an argument or something, I would be like rage cleaning. I'm a rage cleaner. And so I would just be going through the house like rage cleaning.
Mhm.
So I guess that's safer. At least the house is clean after that. But I've never been an emotional eater in that sense. For
Mhm.
me, it's more so like I work from home. Um, and it's boredom. And not to say that my job is boring. I've always got
Mhm.
something to do, but it's boredom. I'm here, I'm by myself all day. I stare at one, two, three computer screens over there, and I get bored of doing the same thing. As I told my boss the other day, I was like, I'd move boxes around on squares for the last like month or on
Mhm.
a PowerPoint. And it's just, it's part of my job and it's not glamorous and it gets boring. And then next thing you know, it's like, well, those cookies are down there.
Mhm.
Or I think there's a couple Oreos left. And Oreos, and I've said this before, they're not that good,
Mhm.
but I'll still go off plan for an Oreo, which makes no sense. And I think we were
Mhm.
talking about it too because Justy working for the bakeries, it's kind of like, oh no, actually Isaac and I were talking about this last night. We were in Walmart and we were walking past like the cookies, the bakery cookie section, and I see him looking and I said, "What are you looking at?" And he was like, "Those cookies." And I was like, okay, like just joking with him because he was saying he wanted to try to cut out some sugar. And he's
Mhm.
like, but he's like, I work in a bakery. I'm like, right, if you're going to eat something,
Like
make
eat
it
the
that.
good stuff,
Yeah, don't
right?
eat
Mhm.
this crappy Walmart bakery
Mhm.
stuff. And so he's like, you're right. And we kept it moving. But
Well, and when I first moved to Charlotte, I just thought about this. I was the new director, and so a lot of my bakers and pastry chefs and all that really wanted to like show me their skills, right? So they were
Look at
always
you.
look what I made, look what I came up with, look what I have,
Right.
which is great. But I found myself not emotionally eating for me, but for them because I wanted them to feel included and happy and like, oh, the new director tasted my food. And I know that sounds silly, but I wanted them to be happy.
Right.
I didn't want to say, oh no, I can't eat that because then how would they feel?
Right.
And so it wasn't for my emotion, it was for their emotion. Now that I'm more
Yeah.
comfortable with them,
Yeah.
they're like, I know you're not going to eat this, but
Right, right, right.
so and so tasted it and it was great. But when I first started, it was like, holy shit. Every night when I got home, I'm like, God damn,
Yeah.
like these people are going to kill me, literally going to kill
It's
me.
funny you say that
Hmm.
because I never put emotional eating until you said that. I feel like some of our emotional eating is
Other people.
other
Hmm.
people and food pushers,
Yeah.
especially being a chef,
Hmm.
same thing.
Yep.
Everyone wants you to taste this
Taste
or
this, taste that.
I'm
Hmm.
cooking for a chef. And then you feel
Obligated.
obligated to
Hmm.
try it or to taste
Hmm.
it. But I do the same thing to people like, oh, I made you cookies or,
I
oh,
made you cookies the
you
last time.
did.
Yes.
You did. And so yeah, like I am we show we care
Hmm.
by
Food.
cooking for people by
Hmm.
food, and so we do it, and
Hmm.
then in turn it's done to us, and I think that
Hmm.
that's emotional because I didn't say thank you for the cookies and save them for tomorrow.
Hmm.
I said thank you for the cookies. I ate one right there, and then I ate one later,
Hmm.
and I think I might have had a third
And
one
she wasn't
later.
hungry.
I
Like,
wasn't,
yeah,
no.
she wasn't hungry, so it came from an emotional or an
Like my
urge or a
friend made me
need. My friend made me
cookies.
cookies. Oh, that
Yeah,
makes me feel good. Let me eat it. It's gonna
right,
make her feel good. And
right.
so I promise I won't bring you cookies anymore,
Like,
but they're
no,
really
don't
good.
do that. But they were really good.
Uh,
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't think, and knowing you and knowing how you are, I
mhm.
don't think you would have been hurt. Your feelings
Yeah.
wouldn't have been hurt if I was like, thanks for these, but I'm going to put them on my
Oh
plan
yeah.
tomorrow. You'd
Hmm.
be like, right
Hmm.
on.
Hmm.
But it didn't, saw cookies and cookies are my jam.
Yeah, and I did a lot of emotional eating over the last month, and it's no fault of my mother's at all, but my mom was here
That's
to
a very
take care of me. And
nostalgia.
it's like
We all have a list of things for
anytime
mom
we're
to cook.
around mom, at least
Yeah.
my kids, like my kids came up and visited me as well. And they were actually making fun of me because we like ordered Chinese food, and when it came, I like boxed it into 4 boxes and put it away and only ate the one little portion. And they're like, and I'm like, listen, it works, right?
Right.
So, but my mom just being there, like, I wanted chicken and dumplings. And she makes the best scrambled eggs. I don't know. When someone else makes scrambled eggs for me, they always taste better.
Hmm.
And she's so cute because she like puts love into the food.
Yeah.
But we all do that because we're
Right.
all just food people. And so I just felt these cravings to eat more food than I normally do or not as healthy food because it was my mom's food.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
it's like, let me get it now because
Right,
she's
because
going
she's going
home.
home and who
Yeah.
knows when I'm gonna see her again. It could be another year or, whatever, hopefully not.
Right.
But yeah, so that's another emotional eating that I've done
Yeah.
lately.
And I haven't even, I didn't even, I'm like, my mind's blown by that because it is not till you
Mhm,
said like people,
mhm,
you feel obligated to eat it. That is
mhm,
you feel obligated. It's a
mhm,
feeling. So,
mhm,
anytime that you're eating, like Justy had said, anytime you're eating and it's not out of hunger or in my case, due to it just being time, because I did it to myself today.
mhm.
Justy and I, we worked, and then afterward, and we went and got our nails
Yeah.
done. We had a little mani pedi time together, and through that, because I ate my breakfast kind of late, it's the story of my life. I'm never hungry in the morning, and then I didn't eat lunch before I left. We went to go get our nails done at 2. I hadn't had lunch yet because I just ate breakfast at like noon. And then I had a protein bar with me, so I ate that, but that was all I ate. And then by the time, and then we went to
We decided to go
Target.
to Target.
We went bathing suit shopping, and
Mhm.
it actually wasn't a miserable
It wasn't I
experience.
didn't cry,
No,
and I bought 2 bathing
we
suits
both bought
that
2
I
bathing
feel
suits.
proud of.
Yes.
Like, cause I've had skin removal surgery, everybody knows that, but, like, I was able to buy stuff that I would never have worn
Yeah.
before, and
Yeah.
so it was really good.
And we brought in a bunch of different sizes. We
Mhm.
actually
We
should
shared a
fit them
fitting
in
room.
whatever. At this point, we've seen
To
it
go
all.
over.
But it was like we were wanting to try on some of the same suits.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we're between medium and large, both of us. So we just brought a bunch in and tried them on.
Uh-huh.
We actually had one that we both liked that
Uh-huh.
Justy
I
so
gave it up.
graciously gave to
Yeah, I
me.
gave it up. I went
She
for leopard print.
she went for leopard print. Yeah. But anyway, so it was just like a long day. And then when we were done there, I actually had a headache because all I had had by that point was what, 6 o'clock, I
Mhm.
think, where I had had my yogurt parfait. and
Mhm.
a protein bar, a Built Bar.
Mhm.
That's it. Period. The end.
So Stephanie has to stay on a
I
schedule,
do. So it's
because she
either
doesn't get hungry.
yeah, it's either I do occasionally get hungry. It's either I'm hungry because I was hungry when we ate dinner.
Mhm.
It's either I'm hungry or it's just time because you
Mhm.
have to because I can't get enough protein in if I
Mhm.
don't. And so um if it's considered, I would say, emotional eating if it's not for a bariatric person or someone who doesn't experience hunger, your time, or if you're not physically hungry
Mhm.
from your stomach, from the feelings of your stomach versus the feelings of your head. And I think that's the hard part to say, like, is it in my head or is it in my stomach? And one of the things someone had told me before was, would you sit down to a plate of broccoli
Broccoli.
right now?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And is it yes or no? Because if it's no, then it's in your head.
Mhm.
And if it's yes, then
Mhm.
you're hungry. Like I would have sat down to 10 plates of broccoli. I would have
Right.
only been able to
Mhm.
eat 2 bites of it, but I would have
Right.
sat down to 10
Mhm.
plates of broccoli. And so yeah, that's one way to think about if you're emotionally hungry or head hungry is it a specific craving? Because
Mhm.
we often crave the things that we restrict
Yeah.
ourselves from.
It's the
So
ice
ice cream,
cream,
chips,
chips, cookies,
that kind of stuff.
pasta.
Which so I guess we can flip a bit, we talked a little bit about what we think emotional eating
Mhm.
is,
Mhm.
how we emotionally eat, typically for me, boredom for
Mhm.
you, boredom, loneliness, that kind of thing.
Loneliness.
Same,
For me,
same for
it's
me.
also like just I think both of us eating is like a reward.
Mm,
So it's like that. Oh, listen. I've done it before. Oh, I lost 5 pounds.
mm.
I guess I deserve.
I've earned it.
I've earned a Big Mac, or I don't eat Big Macs, but I've earned whatever it is that I'm craving at the time. Or just us being in the restaurant business our whole life, and I have bakeries, so we celebrate. Like everybody celebrates. So when you celebrate, when you work in the restaurant industry, it's food.
Yeah,
So you're happy, it's food. Someone dies, it's food. You're sad, it's food. Someone's sick, it's food. Bring them food. So it's
right,
always about
right.
food.
There's always food behind.
So for me, it's like a reward or a celebration as well as
And
when I
then
eat.
holidays.
Hmm.
Every holiday is a food thing.
And
Even down to 4th of frickin' July.
right. Hmm.
Everything, every
Hmm.
holiday, it's a barbecue. It's
Hmm.
Thanksgiving is all food. Christmas is cookies and baked goods and food. Easter,
Hmm.
it's food.
Hmm.
Every holiday is food. Every, like Justy said,
Hmm.
somebody dies and there's a wake and
Hmm.
everybody gets together and they eat. Everybody drops off meals to,
Uh-huh.
so it's
Yeah.
like food, food,
And
food, food, food.
the majority of that eating with the celebrations and the holidays and that sort of thing, you're eating when you're not hungry. You're eating just because the food is there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's delicious, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not eating from hunger.
Yeah,
Sometimes you are, but 99% of the time you're probably not.
right.
So, like I said, we all do it. Um, but there's some things that we've learned over the years that you can do to kind of help with that and help teach you. And it's not going to happen overnight, but to help teach you to identify, like she'd said, would you eat a plate of broccoli right now? No.
Yeah.
But really asking yourself, like, why am I hungry?
Or what am I, if you
What am
ask
I
just the flat out
feeling?
question, what am I feeling? And if you
Hmm.
are legit feeling
Feeling
hungry,
something?
like my stomach is
Hmm.
growling, or it's
Hmm.
been, 6 hours and I haven't
Hmm.
eaten I have a headache. Because
Hmm.
you will experience things, bariatric or not. Like I have a headache now, and I
Hmm.
know it's because I waited too long to eat and it took a while for it to come on, but a headache could be a thing. The rumble in your tummy could be a thing.
Mine is
Some
the
people get a
rumble in
tight
my
chest.
tummy. Mine is I lose focus, or
Hmm.
I do get a slight like foggy feeling
Yes.
and lack of energy.
Hmm.
So I know that those are my hunger cues. And we
Yeah.
all have different hunger cues. So if it's anything else going on than that, then it's usually something I need to work through.
Right. Like what is it?
Like what? Yeah.
And if you can think about, you could stand in the pantry and think about it while you're standing there looking at
Mhm.
those cookies or whatever.
Mhm.
What is it that you're feeling? And 9 times out of 10 for me, it's I'm bored or I'm just
Mhm.
looking for something a distraction. I need a
Distraction.
distraction from
Mhm.
sitting at that desk and like looking
Mhm.
at those screens, and I need a distraction. So I'll go downstairs and I'll just be standing there and very like glazed face. I
Mhm.
don't even, and nothing looks or sounds
Mhm.
good. I don't want anything. And I'm just standing there like, I don't even know, why am I here? So
Mhm.
that's one of those things. Ask myself, like, why
Why am
are
I
you
standing
here?
here right now?
And if it's like because you had to get away from that screen, well, there's a million other things I could do to get away
Mhm.
from the screen. I could
Mhm.
go take a lap around the neighborhood if I wanted to, go walk down and
Mhm.
get the mail. I could call my mom that I haven't talked to since last week. I could text Justy and tell her,
Mhm.
hey, I'm in the pantry.
Right,
Come
right.
slap me.
One
Right.
more.
Yeah. So I mean, there's just things you just have to think about what it is that you can do to
Mhm.
counter that whatever that feeling is that you're having because it's not easy. And this is something that we've had to
Mhm.
learn. I mean, years and years and years. And I'm gonna say I'm gonna props to myself. I officially hit my goal weight today. And I can't even explain like it's almost doesn't feel real because we all know I don't have true body dysmorphia, but sometimes I will look at my body and I'm like, there's no way I'm 100, what, 164 point something now. 165 was my goal weight. But then when Justin and I were trying on swimsuits today, I was like, holy shit, look how skinny I look. And she's
Mhm.
like, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes we see ourselves and we're like, wow, like, especially from the side, I'm like, I'm skinny. When did
Mhm.
that happen? But then sometimes I look at it, I'm like, ugh, look at my legs.
Yeah, and yes, I felt the same thing. I was like, "Wow, I'm able to wear stuff because of my skin removal surgery that I would never think about wearing." I tucked my shirt in today
Hmm.
when I went to work, and like everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, like you're so tiny," and I'm like, "Am I? Like,
Yeah.
is it that big of a difference?" Because I don't, we just don't see it sometimes, and I
Yeah.
and I think like Stephanie and I said earlier that we're not super emotional people, but for those of you who are or will hold on to something that Jill said at the office all day until you get home. It's kind of like you need to ask
Let that
yourself
shit go.
what are you feeling, and then you need to like validate your feeling and just be like, okay, well, it's okay that I'm upset for that, but am I going to choose to validate that feeling with food, or am I just going to choose to validate that feeling and say it's okay
Right.
and I can make this good choice for myself?
Right.
Because Jill has nothing to do with what I put in my
Jill
mouth.
doesn't pay your bills.
No. And
Right.
and I'm allowing Jill to control what I put in my mouth.
Yeah,
And I'm using that as an excuse.
she's living rent free in your head,
Yes.
as I like to call it.
And so you got to kick that bitch out. You got to tell Jill,
Eviction notice for Jill.
right, stay her ass at work
And that's
because
hard. I mean, it's hard, and it's
mhm,
easier for me to say because I sit here and work by myself.
mhm.
But it's hard. It's hard to separate that and to not turn to something that's so comfortable to you.
Well, and I had I'll go back to work. I had, taking over kind of this job. It was a very different company that I'd ever worked before. It's fabulous. I'm still here, so it's
It
fabulous.
really is. I can vouch for it.
But man, they were mean. They weren't having it because I'm this outside corporate girl. I'm not a pastry chef, blah blah
A
blah. Like
woman,
a woman, like all of this
all the
stuff.
things.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to make change and I had ideas. And so the culture was, more of a dictatorship before me, I think, rather than an inclusive culture. But it took them a while to trust me. And until
Hmm.
and it was hard. Like I moved away from my family to a different city. My dad had just passed. My relationship had just broke up.
Hmm.
I moved to a different city, a new job, a new home, away from my kids, away from my grandson. And these people were not being nice to me.
Right.
And I'd been respected so much in my history and my career because I'd been with the same company for years. So I was highly respected. And then I go where like I'm like, if you just knew what I
I
know, like,
remember you calling me, like us
like
talking, and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work for me. You're like,
yeah,
I might, because the reimbursement
right.
for what do they
Moving.
call it? Moving. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to pay them
I
back.
might just give them their money back and be like, I'm going back to Florida.
Right.
And every
This
night
is
when
touch and go.
yeah, we're go now. Every night when I got home, I could have used that to eat. And some nights I did. Let's not lie.
Right.
It happens. But I was determined to not allow this job, these people to throw me off track.
Right.
Now they're supportive. Now they're my cheerleaders. It's a
Right.
totally different thing, but I couldn't let that happen and because I control myself.
Right.
I'm not taking them home with me.
Right.
They don't like but I had to really sit and actually talk out loud to myself. I don't journal. I just don't like to write. First of all, my writing is horrible. You should see this whiteboard that I got up here. Like it's
I'm like, what does
like
that say, Jesse?
who knows? Nobody knows.
How
Um,
do we spell journal?
right, I have no idea. Does the L come before the E? Who knows? Anyway, so
We could.
yeah. But I really just had to talk to myself. So I don't journal, but I understand the process of what a journal does. And for me, it's just talking to myself.
Right.
Um,
And that's what we said. We're not journalers.
mhm,
However, we get it out,
mhm,
whether it be with ourselves or to each other, because
mhm.
Jesse and I text. We don't call as much, but we
Right.
text like literally all day.
Yeah. Mhm,
And so we just get out whether it's a me this morning with my holy shit, look at this, I hit my goal weight,
mhm,
just someone to like pat me on the back,
mhm, mhm.
because I need that. So I don't then turn and say, I do need that. Honestly,
Right.
I'm not gonna say I don't need someone to tell me good job. I
No.
do.
Yeah. It
That's
feels
why I text
great.
her because I know
Yeah.
Jesse's gonna be like, hell yeah,
Mhm,
bitch.
mhm,
And it feels good to have that. But
mhm.
wasn't like, all right, I hit that. I'm going out for drinks tonight.
Right.
No, I hit that, and now what?
Now,
Now
now
I have to
maintain.
maintain. So yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like that's a really like happy, exciting thing, and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna celebrate it. I'm not gonna celebrate in that way over it. I'm gonna celebrate by
But we would have before.
right.
Yeah.
My journaling
Right.
is I journaled via text to Justy,
Right. Yeah.
and we could celebrate
Mhm.
together through text, and then I knew I was gonna see her. So
And I think it's important to have people that are like, and we've talked about this before, but I have Steph who, we kind of talk every day and we're kind of been on the same journey. But I also have an accountability partner that I actually have never met. We've met through a weight loss group. And she lives in Puerto Rico, but every morning she texts me her plan and every morning I text her my plan.
mm.
And then we kind of like she'll text me like randomly like I'm about to go off the deep end and I'm like stop it. And kind of the same thing. Like I'll be like, no, like I had a horrible day yesterday. Like yesterday, I had a horrible day because we were doing menu tasting, and I literally had. It's my job to taste like we had like 26 different sweet items, and I just took a bite of each. But we have to.
hmm
But I didn't eat breakfast, I didn't eat lunch, I actually didn't eat dinner. So I had like all the sweets and I just felt like
And
shit.
it sits in your
It
stomach
sits and
so
it felt like
heavy.
shit. But I
Yeah.
told her, I said, "Oh my God, like I had so many sweets yesterday." And she's like, "Yep, but that doesn't mean you have to today. And so, drink lots of water." So I do have her as well, and we've actually never met. And then I have Steph, and then really honestly, I feel like now that at my job, like people get me, they understand me, they respect me, they love me now. So they're also very aware. So like if I do grab a cookie, they're like, "Oh shit, Jesse's getting a cookie." And then I'm like,
hmm
"Damn it." Like
Right.
they noticed.
Snagged.
So just to having a support around you if you're not a journaler to be able to talk to people who get it
Right.
or who care.
Or even in I think the Instagram community is
Mhm.
amazing. And I'll tell you, my sister turned me on to it because I was in these Facebook groups. She's like, Steph, just start an Instagram account. And I was like, for like
Mhm.
pictures and stuff? Like, I don't, how's that
Right.
going to help? And
Uh,
here I am now.
mhm.
Who knew? And she's like, look at you. She's like, just a couple years ago, you didn't even know how to like post a picture. I'm like, you're right. I didn't. But yeah, I think the Instagram community is amazing. For the most part, it is people who are truly part of the weight loss community are super supportive. And like
Mhm.
we always say, the best friends you've never met.
Mhm.
I'm actually going to a bariatric cabin retreat this weekend that I'm pretty excited for. And some people I have met before at a bariatric retreat last year that was much bigger, like hundreds of people. This is 20 people.
Mhm.
And so it'll be intimate, it'll be small. We'll be at a cabin in the mountains. My husband's coming with me, so I'm really excited that he'll get to be a part of that too. But that's your people. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know these people, but you know what? I talk to them kind of on a regular basis.
Mhm.
This cabin group, we've been in a group chat for a couple of weeks now, just talking about what's coming up and planning. We're doing an NSB day where it's like skiing, snowboarding, tubing, whichever activity you choose, that kind of stuff. So we're going to like a mountain adventure place or whatever. And so we've been talking about that kind of stuff. So I don't know these.
Mhm.
I've met two or three of them.
Yeah.
These are like the best friends I've never met. They're
Right.
they're my
Mhm.
hype people.
Mhm.
I told them we're gonna be late tomorrow because my husband has to work. They're like, we'll be waiting for you with shots in our hand because we are gonna drink. I'm gonna say I have not had drinks in a while, but this is gonna be a drinking event.
Mm.
But they're like, we'll be waiting for you with shots. They don't know me, but they're
Mhm.
gonna be waiting and ready for me.
Mhm.
It's such an awesome community. So
Mhm.
it's like if I didn't have Justy, I wouldn't say I didn't. like I couldn't do this.
Right.
No offense.
Right.
But that's not the case.
Because we did do it when we didn't have each other close. Like
Right.
we've always been friends, and but we've been the kind of friends where we'd gone 6 months without
Yeah.
talking to each
Pick
other
up and
at
drop
all,
off like right where
or
you
we've
left
talked
off.
to each other every day.
Right.
So yeah, and so it's but we've always kind of had each other's back, and we've always been supportive of each other.
Right.
And Steph has the bariatric community. I'm not a bariatric patient, but I'm in the no BS community weight loss membership, which is we've talked about before. Corinne Crabtree's, and she's great. Her
Hmm.
podcast is awesome,
Yeah.
and
That's what got us
that's what
started,
really got us
honestly.
started. And so I have that. It's a Facebook group. There's Instagram as well. But I just found out that one of the coaches lives in Rock Hill,
Oh
South
wow,
Carolina,
how about
and
that?
I have a bakery there. So
Yeah.
we chatted. So hopefully I'll be able to get to see her and
Yeah.
talking about having like a Charlotte, people from that
Yeah.
community. And so, and there's a lot of bariatric patients in that as well. So, we both have, even though we're the same
Yeah.
person, we both have our different
Separate
support
groups.
and
Yeah, so you
different
just have to
things.
fill
Hmm.
those emotional voids with something else and finding your people. I know we've talked about this in the I think it was the last one,
Hmm.
but find your people.
Hmm.
It's so important to have your people, whether you met them, you've
Hmm.
never met the person that you is your accountability partner, and
No,
that doesn't matter because
no.
you have a person
Mhm.
that you can reach out to that's not me. Because I mean, it can't just be you and I against the world. We're not Thelma and freaking Louise
Right.
over here. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I mean, it could be, but it's not. So, I mean, it's important that you have your people. And, I have my husband as well, and he gets a lot of it. A lot of it he doesn't get. So
Mhm.
I have Justy for that.
But you can't expect him to get it either.
Right.
And that's another thing. Like there's some people in your life that you just have to understand they don't give a shit. They could give two fucks about your weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
They might love you, but they don't care.
Right.
And so, and actually when you think about it, more people don't care about your weight than you do.
Right.
Right?
That's
Because
the truth.
like so many people with my skin removal, they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't even realize like well, until I showed you my pictures of me,
Right.
but they didn't see it like I saw it. And so we make more drama about it, I think, than other people do.
Yeah.
And so we expect these people to be our coach and help us and push us and support us, but they got their own shit going on.
Right.
So really you have to, yeah, you have your people who, you can connect with who really do care. You can't expect everybody to care.
Right.
And you can't turn that into an excuse because your husband ate a cheeseburger
Right. In front of me.
in front of you.
That
So yeah.
that man had the nerve to eat a cheeseburger in front of me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, you can have all the accountability partners that you can have. You can have all the support in the world. But for me, I'm home alone in my home, and only I know what I put in my mouth. So, the first person I'm going to be accountable is to myself.
Right.
And the first person I'm going to give love to is myself. And so, and the first person I'm going to keep a promise to is myself.
And we never, but that wasn't a
That
part of our
wasn't a part
past.
of our
And so
past. Mm-mm,
that's a
mm-mm,
really hard learned
mm-hmm,
trait because
mm-hmm.
we were forever, you had your two daughters. I
Yeah.
mean, that was where you gave your time
Mhm,
to.
mhm,
We were, and we're nurturers, we're
mhm.
caregivers. And so it
We're
was,
people
yeah,
pleasers.
we were
Mhm, mhm,
always putting someone else
mhm,
before us. And I don't think I'm a selfish person at all, but I'm becoming more selfish where it's
mhm,
things are going to be more and more about me.
mhm.
I still give a lot, but I have to put myself
But
first.
what I've learned over the years of kind of putting myself first is the world didn't come to an end because I said no.
Right.
Like I don't have less friends because I didn't do as much stuff. My kids don't love me any less because I put myself first. I mean, they might give me some shit about it.
Right. So
But yeah, they'll be fine. So it's kind of like but you have to start where you are, like we've with anything, and just what can I do today,
right.
to make today the
Right.
best day, to make the day the healthiest day, and what you can do today is completely different than what you might be able to do tomorrow. So move on from that. Today I'm doing this,
Right.
and when tomorrow comes, you do that,
Right.
and then when
If
the
you can
next day,
just if you
yeah,
can just stop
hmm
yourself from that one bored emotional
hmm
eat of walking into the
today,
pantry today,
hmm
just
hmm
one. Maybe you had 4 episodes yesterday, maybe
hmm
today you only have 3,
hmm
and it's just making those small changes and having those little wins
hmm
and then having your people to celebrate it with because I'm super excited to tell Justy. I told her again today I did one of my goals is with
oh yeah,
running. I said I've always been an interval runner, and I got myself to actually run a full 5K without stopping. And I did it again yesterday. And I was really excited to tell her because that's my hype girl. She's
Yep.
going to hype me up.
Mhm.
And I fought with myself the whole way. I kept telling myself after 2 miles, I was like,
Mhm.
you could take a break now. And then I'm
Mhm.
like, no, bitch, you can't take a break. And I'm like, I hated every minute of it, but it's making, I know in my head, because I talk about it enough here and
Mhm.
everywhere else, that just making that one small change of committing myself to not stopping to walk
Mhm.
for 3 miles. What does that take me? It took me 36
Right.
minutes.
Uh-huh. Nobody knew but you,
No,
but it feels so good
it
once you
did. When I
start.
was done, I was like,
Mhm.
yes,
Once you
yes.
start feeling that pride in accomplishing things that you didn't think you could accomplish, even though they're small things,
Hmm.
that takes over the feeling of what the food was giving me.
Right. So in a year
Mhm,
from now, when I
mhm.
look back and I'm like, how funny was it when I was just
When
trying to
she's
run
running
three
6
miles?
miles.
Yeah, when I was just trying to get through three
Uh-huh.
without
Mhm,
stopping to walk. It's just you don't know the power that you have and where you could end up in a year from now if you don't take the small steps.
right.
Just the small steps.
Yeah.
One thing at a time.
And I remember I kind of talked about it earlier, and before I moved to Charlotte, like I said, I'd lost my father, my relationship ended, I moved to a new city, all of that stuff, and I caught myself like eating my feelings for sure for a little
We had a
bit.
lot of conversations about
Yep.
that because
Hmm.
first you didn't eat anything.
Well, at first I yeah,
And I'm
first
like,
I
I'm
didn't
going
eat
to need you to
anything.
go buy some protein
Like
shakes. Let's start with
I
that.
I was just
Just
really,
drink
really
something.
sad.
Yeah.
And I just like, I lost the two most important men in my life within a month.
Right.
And so and then but then I flipped that to like let me eat everything. And I gained some weight, but I just was like, I don't like who this is. I don't like
Right.
who I am, but I knew that I knew that at that moment in time, that's all I could do, and that's okay. And I was going through a lot of shit. And that's okay. I learned how to not beat myself up for showing up for what I can do today
Right.
and then moving on. And then tomorrow's a new day. And so slowly every day I was like, okay, well, yesterday that was that. I got through that. Like I cried, whatever it was, ate my feelings, had a whole pizza, whatever. But today I'm going to try not to do that
Or half of that.
or half of that or something better
Yeah,
than
just
that.
recognizing it
Mhm.
is the first step.
Yep.
Knowing that it's happening and
Mhm.
knowing I can get
Mhm.
control of this.
And giving yourself grace for that. And so, I say we're not emotional eaters. At that time of my life I was though. And so just saying, okay, like I understand where this is coming from, but is it going to be better if I eat pizza? In the long run, no. So then I had to like kind of justify or neutralize, accept that feeling and understand it and give it grace, but then be like, okay, but the answer isn't a pizza.
Right.
The answer is feeling the loss of my father. The
Right.
answer is allowing myself to feel the loss of a relationship. It's allowed to feel myself scared for moving to another city. It's kind of, missing my children, whatever it is, just let me feel it. But the pizza isn't going to fix it.
No.
I'm going to still feel that loss tomorrow.
Right.
So
And you're and
and
you're
I'm
gonna
gonna
have
and
had
I'm gonna feel
pizza.
like shit.
Right.
So and the pounds are gonna start coming back on. So that's where it's okay to have the feelings. It's okay to be pissed off at Jill. But the eating isn't gonna fix it.
Right.
Being pissed off at Jill and letting the pissed off be and getting the fuck over it
Right.
is gonna fix
Because
it.
think about it. So let's just say that you were pissed at Jill and you're
Mhm,
like, I'm going to the vending machine and I'm
mhm,
getting a Reese's peanut butter cup,
mhm,
right? You eat that
mhm,
Reese's peanut butter cup, you ate both of them. And
mhm.
now what? You're
Yeah,
still
you're
fucking
not gonna
pissed
eat
at
just
Jill.
one.
You're
Right.
still pissed
Like
at
Jill's
Jill.
still a bitch.
The taste of the
Sorry,
Reese's,
Jill's out
right?
there.
Yes, Jill, you're lovely. I didn't want to go with the usual Karen or
Right.
Susan. Now it's Jill. Um, but so you're still pissed. You ate the Reese's. It
Mhm.
was good for the 60 seconds that it
Right.
lasted. And now what?
Right.
Now what? Which
Mhm.
is why I mean, trigger warning, but I get why people might binge and purge because
Yeah.
you have that regretful feeling.
Regret, yeah.
So let's just not go there.
Right.
Let's not go there. Let's not
That's not the answer.
um
Mhm.
right, it's not that didn't solve anything.
And the answer
You
is
got
just
60 seconds of pleasure out of it.
mhm.
It may
But
be that
but
because of
we're
Reese's, I
taught,
could have had that done in 30
yeah.
seconds. So,
At least I was taught, we were taught, I think our generation, it's like wipe your face. Why are you crying?
right,
Why are you upset?
right,
You know, Go to your room if you're gonna be like that.
My
Like,
dad used to say, "Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about."
yeah. And my dad was a little stern as well. So it's kind of like that, but that's what we were taught. We weren't taught that it's okay just to feel your fucking feelings.
Right.
So feel your feelings. You don't have to do anything with it. Just feel it.
Right.
Cry.
Right.
Just cry.
Right.
Feel lonely. Feel sad. And then tomorrow feel whatever tomorrow brings, but eating's not gonna fix it.
Right, it
Mhm,
certainly isn't. So
mm-mm,
there's just, and it's just at that point, rather than eating your feelings, it's finding something
mhm.
else.
That brings you joy.
What else can fill that
Mhm.
square for you? What else can
For
um
me, it's Sancho,
right. And no,
who's my dog.
seriously. And that's great for people with, like, I don't have a dog anymore, but I got my which you too.
Right,
I
yeah.
got my dog after a huge one of the biggest breakups of my life. I just had this empty house and this
Mhm,
empty feeling, and I got my dog and I adopted him, and he filled my heart,
mhm,
and that's what I needed at that time.
mhm,
And it was everything that I needed, because otherwise I was in a dark place. I was in
mhm,
a really dark
mhm,
place where, like, never that I ever was like gonna hurt myself or anything like that, but it was, I had rough days. There was months of my life that passed with, I don't even know what happened. Like,
mhm,
I have no recollection.
mhm,
I missed out on about a year of my life, because I'll be like, oh no, that was 2 years ago. I'm like, oh shit, that was
right,
actually three
yeah.
years ago because I've skipped a whole year.
And we like hiking too, like,
Yeah.
just being in nature for me, like, if I'm feeling kinda, ugh, I'll be like, "You know what? I just need to go in the woods.
Yeah.
I just need to climb the mountain, go
So
in the
so
woods."
like having a pet is not to say everybody needs to go around and buy a dog, but having, like, as a going through something very
Mhm,
emotional like that, I had that. That's why people have emotional distress animals or whatever they
mhm,
call it. And then, like, or just having a friend.
mhm,
And if you don't have any friends nearby, Justy has her friend she's never met that's her accountability partner, or people, maybe there's a non-Jill at work that you can talk to, or if you go to the gym, I find that the women in our classes at the gym are
yeah,
all
really
super
supportive,
nice and
mhm,
supportive, and I
mhm,
love your outfit, I love
mhm,
your hair. Yeah, you know
mhm,
what I mean? So just, I don't know,
yeah,
find that other thing, find
mhm.
something else.
Even today when it was nice outside, I was in my Jeep and I just put the top back and I looked up at the sky and it was blue and I was just like, yeah, that just makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Just being in nature.
Yeah.
And so it's just finding whatever it is that makes you feel better. And it's not going to happen overnight. But you got to try. Just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying and keep making a better decision than you made the day before. And that's really what it is. And my daughters were here and they both kind of could stand to lose a little weight
Mm.
and be a
We're
little
being polite. You haven't
right.
listened thus far, so I doubt you're going to hear this
Right.
either, but when you do, you're bad for taking so long.
So, they're like, we got to get our life together. And Maddie was like, we're gonna just, only eat this, that. And I'm like, stop, just stop right there. Just eat less.
Right.
When you go get a Big Mac and a large fry and a large Coke, get a Big Mac and a
A
small
small
fry and a
fry.
my Coke and
Right.
then see how you feel.
Right.
Do you feel like shit afterward? Yep. So then probably you don't need the Coke or the fries or
Right.
the Big Mac at
Go
all.
go down to a quarter
But
pounder or
right,
something.
like
Yeah.
so it's just like but their mind went straight to we have to do all the
Chicken and
things.
broccoli.
Yeah, like chicken and broccoli every
Brown
day.
rice.
And I'm like, no, you can have pizza. You can't have the whole pizza.
Right.
So just start every day with something simple.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had something else great and I lost it that fast.
Uh-oh.
I
It's
know.
because we're 46.
Yes. It is. It was really good too, but anyway, I guess it's not that, because I know we're definitely wrapping up, but
Yeah.
it was good
So I
stuff.
guess at the end of the day, the emotional eating is feel your emotion.
Yeah.
It just, don't
Yeah.
give it that drama that you have to fix this emotion with food. Feel it, let it be, solve it some other way.
Yeah.
Eat out of hunger, don't eat out of emotion, that sort of thing. Give yourself grace when you make a mistake and
Mhm.
just take one day at a time, one choice
One
at a
day,
time.
one
Hmm.
small choice at a time,
Yep.
because we certainly didn't start here.
No,
Years ago, 10 years
10
ago,
years
we
ago.
were like, oh, if only I could just not be an emotional eater. It's like,
For me, it was like, oh my gosh, if I was like a size 17 or 16, I would be so happy. Right. Well, when I was a size 16, wasn't so happy
right.
because I didn't do any of the work to
Mm.
like fix my self-love,
Yeah.
but now I have.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, that's it. I think next we're going to talk about
I don't even remember because we've tossed some things around. We are going to come into
mhm,
very soon my
Majora.
Manjaro journey, because that's taken a bit of a turn, especially now that I've reached goal weight.
Hmm.
We are going to have our very first podcast guest on for
Yay.
that one.
Hmm.
And I think we also talked about possibly talking about exercise and how we
Mhm.
got into that. And there
Mhm.
was one other thing, and I forgot about that just as fast too.
Right. And I think also what did we have, like 500 downloads or
Oh
something
yeah,
of
we
our
had
podcast? Yeah.
500. Yeah, look at
Because
us.
we were talking about like, like 10 or 20 people like listen, at least it's helping us.
Right, right. And we got a notification today. We had 500
Yeah.
downloads of our
So
podcast.
that's
My
awesome.
mind's blown with that. So
I mean,
I
two,
appreciate
one's
that.
my mom and one's your mom.
Yeah,
We
so
know
we've got
that.
two right there. Actually, my mom and my mother-in-law.
Okay. And
So
your
I've got and
sister,
my sister, but I don't
probably.
know if she downloaded, but she
Okay.
did tell me she's a loyal listener. And this is now, Jennifer, you're welcome.
Hmm.
Yeah, another shout out to you because I've mentioned her several times. She's like, it's kind of like my own personal like shout out every time you mention me. So here she is again.
And I'll mention my daughters when they actually listen because they haven't listened yet. So
Get no mentions.
no
You have to listen if you
mentions.
want to mention. But no, so and we also have once the end of March rolls around, we'll be talking about our
Our goals,
goals
where we're
because
at.
we've
Hmm.
had to do some pivoting.
Yeah.
I know I've had to pivot. I think Justy's had to do some pivoting. So, and that's okay. So
Yeah.
we're pivoting, and we'll update that, and
Mhm.
and when the quarter rolls around,
What is it? We're pivoting like a motherfucker.
yep,
Yes.
pivoting like a motherfucker. We sure are.
Yes.
Yep.
So anyway, so we will talk to you next time.
Yep. Sounds
Bye.
good. Bye.